part 2 will be a showcase, and then we would like to invite you to share your creative projects. Yeah, I believe that you can share your screen when you're ready.
Yeah, this is my thesis when I graduated from the school, and I really like this project because it's like whole concept for renovation, like for innovation territory, or like how to attract tourists, because we have very interesting nature. We have, like, you can see we have, well, this is a fall pictures, but like when you hear on summer, it's amazing. You see all this bays with sand, like long sand beaches. It's not as wavy as it's not an open ocean like here in like California. So they more secluded, and it's the like it's really nice for vacation. And we were thinking how we can attract people here. So first we need to do a whole research and say, like, well, tourism is possible. That's what we can offer. We can offer not just like hanging out on the beach, but we also can offer learning about this region. We can offer another activities like scuba diving, fishing, because we have like a fish farms here. Like here you can see how I was like thinking we can create spaces where, like, the small interior I was trying to replicate, like what fish species in this area. So it's not just like, well, now you just can go camping here and it's like wild camping. There is no infrastructure and nothing. So and after you think like how your building should look like, so I decided to place it on a cliff right here, because it is in a walking distance to the bay, and also you can oversee a very nice view from here. And also there is, like, on the other side there is fish, not a fish farm, but clams. You know, these sea creatures like clams and mussels farms. So that's something educational, and people can go and see and maybe do farming, like fun activities. And also I analyzed territory. Like, for example, here you see small map. This area can be flooded on spring, so you don't want to build anything here. But this area is high up enough so it's not get flooded. And it is also this bay, just because there is like hills. It's pretty close from the winds, so the temperature is really nice. And I also, when I looked at this, landscape, I found that the like this lines is very interesting, and it has interesting shape, and I can use it as a inspiration for the building. So here you see like the process. I thought about like clamps. I use different techniques how to make mock-up of this, and after that and the shapes, like this landscape shapes, they also looked like a seaweeds we have over there. So like all this marine marine shapes. And I found this like a kind of successful shape, especially you can blend it into landscape and make and you, like, when you walk through it, you lose your understanding where is like its actual building and where the lines become a part of surrounding, like part of the garden. So also we did an analysis of territory, and so this is it's closed with the, if you see, it's protected from the winds. This is a main building of like visitor center, and here is the houses for people who don't want, like, you know, the area, recreation area, and houses for the people who don't want to just wild camp. So there is some like territory and analysis, and you can see how we plan to build the road here. Just because there is no infrastructure, and put like infrastructure, what the like walking path for I don't know, like hiking, and for the activities. So there is some wharfs for the boats to take a like scuba diving tour, or just like a tour along the seashore, because it's very nice and beautiful nature over there. So yeah, it's and the main building should have should have show everything we like, all the gems of this region. And my region is like is a mix of northern and well, it's in the south of Russia, so it's we have kind of similar nature with China, because it's south, and but also we have a northern species, because the ice in the ice period were coming from melting and coming from the top down and bringing all the seeds, or moving like animals down. So, and in this region we have like mix of really southern species adapted to north and northern species. So we have like orchids, and also like, which is a pretty southern, I believe, flower, and we also have like pines and cedars, like it's like northern, so, and mixed in one forest. So, and we wanted to show like, so the roof supposed to be the part of landscape where we can show species only you can see in this region, so you don't have to really go deep into the forest and look at this, but it's like specially landscaped to show it. So there is like different activities, like inside this part it's supposed to be a museum where like you feel yourself like you're under the water, and you have all this expositions of, you know, like how fish and other sea creatures live underneath. So yeah, and this is like my render, how it's kind of supposed to look like. There is a solar analysis, so it's oriented certain way, so it get morning sunlight, morning light in the morning. Also it and inside, but during the hot time, like afternoon, the roof under a certain angle, it protects from the harsh lights. Also, since it's a green roof, it's thick enough so it doesn't let the building to overheat. From the northern part, it's cut into the ground, so it's it doesn't it use the earth heat to heat the building, so it doesn't really it doesn't release that much heat to the air. It's so it uses a thermal energy. Yeah, and the system of how it utilizes breath, like the wind from the sea to ventilate the premises inside. So yeah, I tried to use a lot of passive energy like techniques to make this building as a presentation of environmental friendly building, which is an educational building for people, for tourists who come here. They learn about nature, they learn about that architecture can be environmental friendly, and when they leave this area, they so inspired. They say oh well, we want all our cities to be like gardens, and it is possible to do it.
Wow, I like your landscape drawing a lot. So go back to one page. Yeah. So
like
I always believe, I always believe that because I also, when I graduated, I working in a architect firm. We do a lot of urban planning. With every single project, the housing project started from the urban planning. So we are not doing individual buildings. When we do it, it's like whole community. So this is I'm always amazed you can do a very organic shape to blend in your projects through the nature, and also you take advantage with all the the natural sunlight, the passive cooling to the spaces, and then you take consideration website analysis to figure out what is the best location, the form of the space. Is fantastic. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, but yeah, I just want to appreciate the very beautiful your landscape plan.
It's nice feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for it's I enjoy to bring all these aspects, and I think that buildings totally can utilize more passive energy methodologies. And it's really relevant right now when we have the climate change issues and overheating issues. So, and this is how crazy you can be at SCI-Arc. This vertical was right after Peter test studio, when your brain already malleable enough to to accept all kind of crazy ideas. And here we were asked to rethink skyscraper, and like traditional skyscraper, when you have
by the way, who was the instructor for the studio?
Can you guess?
I want to ask you.
It's Hernan Diaz Alonso. Yeah.
Oh, so he is the current SCI-Arc president right now.
Director. Yeah.
Director. Yeah.
So yeah, and we were asked to rethink the type, the program of the building, where all shopping malls, cafes, and everything what attracts people is on the first and second floors, and the rest of the building is just boring offices. But we thought that we're losing this the beautiful feature of skyscrapers, when you can go up and see the city from above. So it's only available for some rich companies who can afford themselves upper levels, right? or like in corporate hierarchy for people who like on the top of hierarchy, and they can see they have a beautiful view, while other people who use the city and they just don't have access to it. So we basically moved the part, we distributed it through the building, and we moved the like this visitors part into the middle, so people it's not like that far for them to travel, but also it's like it's attractive. I mean, I'm not sure if it's attractive for everyone, but it's a weird, you know, well, we wanted also to distinguish it from the rest of skyscrapers. So you can see here is more like back to normal parts, where you need to divide it to cubicles or to offices, you know, for the company to function well. But you also want to have access, like from these, you know, normal places to something crazy. So it gives you you can relax from, you know, the boring part, like routine part of your job, and see something and find something that disturb, like artistic. You know, you can.
Questions here. So your project in London, right? I saw the building is by one of my favorite architects, John Howell. So you're next to his building. Oh, such as a fortunate you can build a nice building next to a star architect.
I think this location was, it's not like us who got selected. Well, it shows some process. So it is like it's given locations was given for reason, because all buildings here are they like this iconic buildings. It's not only this, but also I believe Norman Foster's building is not far away, and also you can see this bank. I'm gonna embarrass myself. I don't remember. I'm like really bad with names, and when it comes to naming all the like iconic buildings and architects, I'm like, I know it, but I don't remember.
So this bay is surrounding with all iconic architecture, right?
Yeah, it's like a central part of London, like financial. I mean, I never been in London, so I just know
Me
it
too.
from
I wish one
description.
day we can go to London together.
Yeah, you're like, I know this space. I have my rendering right here. So let me quickly show the process. And we wanted it to use, like, for design, we wanted to use for this like crazy part of a building, we wanted to use new techniques and like use something you worked before to get inspiration. And we got it from wax and utilized like robots' ability to stabilize it, and kind of we were trying to do a mock-up of all our building. You know, this is like a base and top, and what it can create in the middle to inspire us, and how to translate it into digital. So eventually we wanted to scan it, but wax, since it's white, so we learned from this that it's issue for scanner and like the limitations of 3D scanner. So we had to somehow simulate it in with like
Maya,
particles, in Maya. So yeah, and this is just how it looks like inside and outside.
Yeah, I know that you're a parametric designer, so but not all of our audience understand what parametric design means in the architecture world. Would you mind explaining to us what does parametrics mean?
Like when you do design by, you know, just doing one iteration, and you always like, if you need to adjust something, you go and change, and that's it. And if you want to repeat the same design, you need to go back to the beginning, like grab whatever the base model you have and start to apply the workflow you have again and again. Parametric design is basically when you script this process and you treat it as a parameters. So you see like the steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3, which you need to repeat in order to get the same model, and you do it as a script. So you can run it again and again and get the same result. But moreover, you always, like during your process, you can change something and your model will change. And this changing called parameters. So you can apply like different, for example, if you do clay sculpture, you can I don't know, apply different pressure when you like when you're sculpting it with your fingers, and it will create a different output. And this pressure is a number, basically how much force you apply, and you can program it and input it as a number slider, so it will be your variable. And you can not just run the same algorithm again and again to get the same result, you also can change parameters, and your result of always going to be different. Okay. So this is the airport in Atlanta, and you probably remember it.
Yeah.
We started to work on this together, and we actually worked on this together in a lot of parts. But I think it was a turning point in our working with clients, because before they asked us to do something they knew, and we had to assist them in this. But here they were like kind of open, and we had direct relationship with the clients, and they told us their feelings they want to express. They wanted to express it's like through the motion, like kind of light and they provided pictures of like smoke, you know, all this light transitions between really thick smoke to dissolving vapor, and their interpretation of it. And we looked at this and we're like, well, you know, you want to moment directionality, you want to some kind of gradients, but you don't really know how to do it or how to approach it. And we picked 2 approaches to show them what they requested, and to do a step forward and say like, well, you know, we have different tools, and we can utilize tools to enhance the performance of your pattern, to do it more more like you want, more relevant to what you described. Like when you use just circle, it's very static shape, but when you use prolonged shape, you can apply direction, and it's already more expressive. It's not static pattern anymore. It's you know, it is an expression. And you can see it helped to move your eyes on direction, follow these lines, like beautiful lines they provided. So and yeah, and they loved it, like all these gradients, how like the mixing parts from like thicker bold shapes to kind of dissolving. It's something like what they showed in the smoke, and with some more like solid part, the contrast between solid parts and like, you know, more densely perforated, the contrast between small shapes and large shapes. And I think we learned a lot on this project.
Yeah,
First
I
of
mean,
all,
yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
first of all, how we presenting. And that's, I think, first we started to think about like virtual reality, because when first design, we sent it like, oh yeah, we love it, let's print it or make a sample panel. And we did it, we like, oh well, it's very sparse. It doesn't really you know, create the effect we wanted, this dynamic effect, right? So I started to work on the pattern to change in it to make it more dense, and but on the screen it looked like very too dense. So you started to have this dissonance with what you see on the screen, and when you print it, you basically you just adjust your eye. And for the next reference project, you like say like, okay, if it's like too dense on the screen, it's not necessarily going to be too dense in reality. So you always need to go back and forth and test it and print it. And I think after this one, we started to do a small one-to-one scale in our presentation. So you can see, like, if your small square in 11 by 17 is empty, it's mean like, well, your perforations, your like holes is very too far away apart. And it was the first lesson. Second lesson, when we did, you can see this part, it's like our first iteration, and we did mock-up for this. And when we saw it, we like, and it's already modified pattern, and they like, oh, it's still, you like, you barely see it on the ceiling, right? But we already got used to the idea that it's going to be bold statement pattern. So, and I had to do a second revision, a second iteration, design new tools, test it to find the like solutions, because there was all kind of different issues with this new bigger sizes perforation. So it was like all learning process. And after that, when we had to execute this pattern and send to engineering team, and it's airport. You see, it's like Atlanta airport. It's a huge spaces with custom pattern, and custom pattern mean custom panels. So we had to find the tools how to or invent the tools, how you group them by panels, how you name them, how you organize it, how you transfer it to engineering team, how they understand, how eventually we check that the naming is correct, that installer understand where panels go, so they not mess up the pattern. For example, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. When if you miss one part, you're not gonna have a picture, right? So it was a like long, big project, and I think we started a new department even like to execute this project, which called advanced engineering. And so to create all this way to communicate with or to develop a new workflow. And it is a beautiful, successful project. I'm like really proud that I worked on it, was part of this. And I were able to I was able to create a discussion about the design and help architects to express themselves better with tools I know better than them, and they might not understand them or see, but when I make a step forward and like and try to explain them and say, well, that's what we can do. We like have better tools, better way to express. Like I know the scripts better. I can do something unique for you, and they like open for it, and they say like, yes, we want this approach. We need the help with that, because we have so much work like with all other parts, like with I don't know, walls, with carpets with patterns with like program. So we are happy to delegate this part.
Yeah, I
And the
remember
other,
this project. Yeah, one of the would you mind stay a little bit? I remember I involved it a little bit then before I transitioned to other company. But I remember there's a few challenge you mentioned that the scale. This is a massive scale. You really have to explain to share the actual pattern on drawings. So this is a very we have to use the markup to actually present what is the final product will look like. What is the atmosphere? What is the dynamic inside the space?
we had to actually rent another space to do this mock-up.
I remember when I first see the markup we done and then put on the ceiling. This is very different than you look at the screen. And then sometimes when you also it's really hard to present the idea and on drawings, right? So that's why I believe that we have a conversation how we can translate this to a virtual spaces, right? And then the people can actually merge into the space to experience the design. And then also,
yeah, so you can do all this iteration virtually and see and pick the one you want to mock up, so you don't have to waste money on mock-ups.
Absolutely. And then also in this type of big scale space, when you change the pattern and then you need to apply you need to regenerate the results. This does take some time as well. So this is very challenging in how you can present the projects to the client to help the client to make the decision, right? And also to actually based on their feedback and then adjust the design. Do you have a chance to look at this project by yourself?
Yes, well, I actually this December I had to fly to Washington, and there was like two and it's like I don't know how many years later after completion. So and there I had chance to take a flight with which goes through Atlanta, and I was like, I'm gonna take this chance because I really want to see how. I mean, I'm the one who didn't see it, and I really like I honestly think that the ceiling was the best part of whole design, especially because it works well, like this graphics works well with their infographics, and their infographics made black and white, and this part, like where they use white and black signs, and our ceilings, it's like it creates like a whole picture.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, more of the time when I finish the design and then I may not able to see it. I always want to see. I really want to see the actual space. What will it look like by myself?
I think it's important for when you do design, especially such R&D design, because when you do it and you don't see final result, you cannot really, and you know so much about this project. So when you like, our eye is so trained. When you look at this, you might see small, discrepancies, like where it doesn't fit, where a mistake was made. And other people not going to notice it, but you have the way to analyze, and also how you feel about it. Maybe it was like too aggressive, and if I like come to airport, I would be like, no, this pattern is not for the airport. It doesn't fit the space. Yeah. So next time I do my adjustment, and I will be like, well, I'll select the different pattern for airport, or maybe I will say like, well, this is right. I really like this and that, and like the scale. I really like the gradients. I really like here I could do better. And for the next pattern, I have all this feedback and information, and I can do better. But if I don't get to see it, I'm like, well, I'm gonna do the same and same, you know, mistakes again.
I don't think it's a mistake, but when you actually see your projects, right? So you will also get more inspiration for your next project because you try some techniques already. So you have certain idea. You do not know how it's worked well in the space, right?
Yeah,
So that's why I
I'm
always.
saying the word mistake because if you like do it once and you learn from it, it's not a mistake anymore. But if you like keep doing the same, it's like,
Oh, I see.
you know.
Great, great. This is a really wonderful project. Yeah, I'm glad I also have a chance to work with you together to develop this project as well.
Yeah, no, it's like teamwork. Yeah, and that another one, you probably remember it too.
I remember it. Yeah.
It's a fun project, especially because there was no architect and we were able to be as an architects, and we had to so we got to design this feature ceiling for lobby actually in California, not far away from Los Angeles in Irvine. And it was our product we tried to push, and we couldn't develop it quite yet just because there was no precedent. So we we had the mock-ups, we knew that we can do it, but when there is like no money for this, you cannot finish your R&D, you know. And but this was we like, okay, let's try our idea, the mock-up we done on real space, and this was an opportunity to fine-tune and actually like answer some questions which we had during the mock-up stage or during our R&D stage, and wrap it as a product where we can offer like ceilings with depths, with dimensions, how we can make it work like seamless, all the panels seamless, how we attach two layers this way, how it work with regular T-grid system, and the most important, how we can make it cheaper by not doing all panels double layered, but like mixing and faking, and like reduce price significantly. And also our machinery is not it was not made for like to do shapes like this, so we had to come up with way and how to make shapes that big. And also there is also a lot of challenges with like other people don't see, or people who like do laser cut don't understand. But so, and we were able to create a limitation, for example, for these shapes, the biggest size, the smallest size. And if we want to do it like the sizes which fall in a gray area, like in between the biggest perforation we can do and the smallest shape we can do, how we fake it, I would say. You know, so you see a seamless pattern. As a user, you see and experience a seamless pattern, but for us it's like solving a machinery issue. So yeah, I think it's
yeah, and then also this project I remember this not just came up by sudden. So we went through so many research process. We remember when we have a trade show in I think it's in Washington, right? We did a mock-up as a wall panel, But when you translate to a ceiling panel, your challenge will be different, right? Because you need to think about the structure integrities, how to hold the panel without any how
You
to
need to
hold the
think about
panel.
gravity.
Yeah, gravity. Yeah. So, and then also, when you have such big piece of material, the metal will be not like a flat. So, right. So when the size is not fit, as we jam together, it's create a ripple effect. What you do not want to see it. So this is amazing. This is a well done project.
It's like our true R&D product. Influential was for me was Zaha Hadid.
Oh.
But it's not just because like all obvious reasons, and I know that she get criticized a lot, and it's normal, but like the impression I got, because as I told, I'm from a smaller city and like distant city, and it's harder to travel from there, at least in point of my like my growth over there, growing up, and so it's hard to find inspiration, and there is not that many books, and it was still time when we looked at the books, not just the internet, Instagrams and social media. And I just remember one day I was traveling in Europe, and we had a free time, and I went to a bookstore, and it was like such a scale, and it was so big and so fascinating, and her book like laying in front, and it's not just a book with pages like regular magazine, it's like it's a different papers, it's drawings, it's a I mean, probably first time I saw and I understood what does mean like beautiful plan, a beautiful section. Like, because before it was like, well, you have a beautiful shape, and section is what it is what it is. It is what you get from. So, and it just like changed, and that like and I just started to do computational design, and I saw all the shapes, like everything you can do like computationally, and I'm like, wow, you can do this. So it's like just changed my mind and made me excited, so excited about being an architect. So it's like just changed my perception of architecture. What could it be? So she had a very big impact on me. But the second, my favorite architect was Renzo Piano, and it is for his environmental concepts and also for his very different approach to architecture. Like, for example, if Zaha Hadid has her strong, bold style, and she's gonna manifest her style everywhere, like it doesn't matter, it's like very international, very global, it doesn't matter if it's China, if it's London, if it's the United States or Russia, it's always going to be Zaha Hadid. But Renzo Piano, he did like different approach, and like I remember his buildings are so responsive to the like surrounding, like to the culture, like his and also he used like natural materials. The shapes are also amazing, and it's always different. So even like you think of George Pompidou Center, this high-tech style, and this leafy shapes in Australia he has, it's made out of wood. It's like two completely different styles, and it's still one person who can adapt different ideas and can explore different ideas. And also the one project, I think what fascinates me is was the California Academy of Science. And it was like one of the reasons I came to California, because I really wanted to experience this building. It's not just about like shape, not about structure, but it's also about environment, how like the roof, his green roof, how he worked with light, how
the
he,
one in San Francisco, right?
yeah, how he like rethought the historical context of this building, and how he just didn't, like, for example, in in our Russian tradition, when we think about redoing historical buildings, is usually a replica of what it used to be before. But he did it. He thought like, no, I'm preserving the parts of the old building, but I'm doing in, like, since it's a new program, a new approach to the museum, I will do like it differently. And I think it's amazing building, and I was like really fascinated with all these environmental concepts. His use of passive energy, you know, I studied it, I liked it, and he's one of my favorite. And another one, I believe it should be, I think, the Dao Ando.
The Dawando? Oh.
Yeah, for his, just like how he used materials like concrete and light, how he can draw like how he used like light to be a part of design, to graphical part of design, not just like to light up the building from inside, but like to be a, you know, to be a part of design, like dark and light, you know.
Wow. So yeah, do you know Tadao Ando, before he became an architect, do you know
He
what he
didn't
did
have
before?
training. I know that he didn't have architectural training.
Yeah. And also he was a boxer. He was a
Oh,
fighter
really?
before. Yeah. So,
Oh,
and then I
interesting.
talked to one of the architect. He admired Tadao Ando's work. And then when we talk, and then he remind me, oh, Tadao Ando is his background is very different because he's not went through the traditional architecture training. And then also he what he did before is he was a boxer, right? So this is totally different. And then that's what we, you know, Zaha also is, yeah, I talked to 10 architects, 9 of them, they like Zaha Hadid's work. So yeah, and also I'm thinking that one of the episode, I really want to just get all the people they like Zaha, and we come back to talk why Zaha. So that would be a very interesting
It's like
conversation.
Zaha fan club.
Yeah, and also yeah, when you share with me who you like, besides Zaha, right? Zaha is parametric, so you can work with different type of materials. But Ando and Tadao Ando and Renzo Piano, they really focus on the material selection, right? So you have to respect the nature. You have to respect what kind of material you can choose to in the surrounding area. That's I think this is more like your pattern, right? Because you're working on your tool, you work on this, you're working on different material to put it together. It's more embedded to your roots, how you study your architecture. That's very fantastic. Also, the final question is here. What is your advice you can give it to the people in your country when they want to study abroad? What is your advice to them?
Well, just you really need to know why do you want, or why do you want to spend you know, all this energy, like what do you want to get from this. You don't expect it to be easy. I mean, I don't know, unless you loaded with money and your parents who wants you to study abroad, not you. But if you want yourself, you need to understand that it's not going to be easier, and there's going to be a lot of things which like obstacles you meet, and you don't pursue them just like as an obstacles. You need to challenge yourself to overcome them. And like for example, you might be like you might be the first in your small city and be like very like the one is like most creative, and but when you come abroad, you usually pick the best university how other people select. So, and you need to, and for some people it was frustrating because they don't feel first anymore. They see people who is like more like better designers or stronger than them, and they like get frustrated with it. But you need to take it as a challenge and see what you can learn from the best. So you need to like let go your ego, your artistic creative ego, and it might be hard. So, and you just need to change this perception. Another one, if you like, for example, can be shy and like and can like, I saw some people who know language, but when they come, they start to be shy to communicate. But it's very important. You need to understand like as much as you learn tools and skills and like academic things, you also need to learn the culture and how you communicate in this culture and what you can bring from this culture. And for example, America is very based on like networking, and the part of your education is networking. So you come and you meet people, you ask questions, you get to talk to them, you get to ask questions, you get to create connections. So you need to prepare for this rigorous communication, and don't be like, oh, I just like going to be a cool designer, no tools and no skill, to have a skill, but don't know anyone, so it's not going to work here. So you need to like to do research on maybe like listen to another, like the experience of another students who studied abroad in this particular school, and like know, like get their advices, like do your study, your research.
Got you. So, hey, Oksana, thank you so much. This was a really great conversation. It's for your school life, so for your work, and then also for your advice for the student who want to study abroad. So, if the people really want to contact you and also really want to know more about you, how they can get in touch with you?
They can use my LinkedIn.
Conversation. I think this time is a little bit long, but hopefully you will enjoy it. So, and also I need everyone's support. If you like our conversations, please like and subscribe my channels. So, and our more people were able to get YouTube will able to share with more people to support my operation.
So I think I'll show, since we're talking about education, and about my foreign experience, about my US experience, and about job, how it's impacted my job. I think I'll show the project, basically what we mentioned in our interview.
Yeah, absolutely.